Well, hello everyone, and it's that time finally. I have compiled my list of my favorite films of 2022, and this was a difficult list to make. I feel like even when I was doing the honorable mentions that I was putting on there, I feel like I could have listed like 10 plus honorable mentions of movies that I really loved this year. And obviously, I didn't get around to seeing everything. I still need to see Babylon. There's a few other films this year that I had not gotten a chance to check out yet that might not end up on my list, but as always, I normally end up doing a video talking about it, telling you where this would fall on my list of favorite films of the year. So what I did is I compiled this down to my 20 favorite films of the year with some honorable mentions, and I've probably done full reviews of every single one of these movies, so I'm not going to go into detail talking about them really greatly. I'm just going to quickly give my thoughts, why they ended up in that spot on the list, and go downward from there. So I would love to hear what your favorite films of the year are. So if you leave me a comment down below, I'd love to read what your top films of the year. You can leave me 5, 10, 20, even if you just want to leave me your favorite film of the year. I love reading that because always checking out these lists gives me the ability to find something new that I might not have watched beforehand. And that always really excites me to get to see things that I wouldn't have checked out on my own. So leave me a comment down below. As I always say, this isn't fact. This is just my opinion. This is where these films fall for me. Obviously, I'm sure that ours will be very different, but I'm looking forward to getting into it now. Starting with some honorable mentions, I want to mention the horror film Terrifier 2, a slasher movie that I never thought I would like as much as I actually did. I hated the original Terrifier, but this movie was entertaining. The practical effects in it were incredible. It was just fantastic all around, and I really enjoyed it. Up next is the film After Yang from A24, a beautiful, quiet character study with amazing cinematography that I thought about quite a bit after I watched it. Up next is the film The Fallout, starring Jenna Ortega, a phenomenal performance from Jenna Ortega, a film exploring trauma and grief in a way that I feel like is incredibly relatable. Emily the Criminal, starring Aubrey Plaza, great to see Aubrey Plaza in a dramatic role. This movie was a fantastic film with great performances and one I look forward to watching again soon. Up next is the film 3,000 Years of Longing from director George Miller. I feel like barely anyone talked about this when it came out. I'm not sure why. Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton both give amazing performances. I wish more people would have talked about this movie when it came out. And then last up on the list is the film Resurrection starring Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. This gave me very much Possession 1981 vibes, an absolutely amazing film that really took me by surprise, and it barely made it off this list. I think everyone should check this one out. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm going to get to my top 20 films of the year. Let's go. So coming in at number 20 is the film Barbarian, a movie I feel like everyone talked about when it first came out, and for good reason. This movie subverted expectations. Really, the marketing did an amazing job not giving too much away. This film was horrifying, but it was also incredibly comedic and subversive and entertaining. The reason why it falls in at number 20 on this list is on rewatches, I'm not sure how hard it's going to hit, but I still think that it is incredibly well made, and that's why it ended up in the top 20 on my list for the year. Coming in at number 19 is the film The Menu, starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes. I thought this was an amazing subversive comedy that really got intense at moments. I thought that all the performances in this were really great. I thought that the way the film was structured was brilliant, that little bits of information were given to you throughout the entire runtime, and the third act of this film was so brilliant. It really took me by surprise, and I'm glad I got to watch this one. Coming in at number 18 is the film Cha-Cha Real Smooth from director Cooper Raiff. I thought this was a really beautiful drama that also had some great comedic moments in it. Cooper Raiff is a really talented actor. Dakota Johnson gave an amazing performance in this, and it really moved me. And by the end of this film, I was like, I just want to watch it again, and I'm so glad I checked it out. It was fantastic. Up next on the list is going to be the film Crimes of the Future from director David Cronenberg at number 17. A return to form for David Cronenberg. I loved the body horror elements in this. I love that it felt very much like a noir, the way that it was shot, the way that it was structured, and I also love that the subject matter in this could be compared to the experience of the LGBTQ community or transgender people in particular, and I know David Cronenberg spoke on that in a lot of interviews, and it really resonated with me heavily after I watched the movie, and I think this is a film that everyone can enjoy elements of. Coming in at number 16, if I would have said this would have been on my top 20 films of the year at the beginning of the year, I would have thought I was crazy, but the film Smile, a horror film that was released on the pretense of looking like something like Blumhouse's Truth or Dare that had so much more going for it. This idea of like dealing with trauma and depression and all of these themes that are handled really well, in my opinion. As someone who's experienced depression and anxiety my entire life, I felt like the themes of this film really hit hard. I thought it was genuinely scary, took its time to build up to get to those moments of really intense fear. Amazing performances throughout. I just really enjoyed this one a lot, and it's one that'll be in my regular rotation for years to come. Coming in at number 15 is the film X from director Ty West, a horror film that sort of subverted expectations in the sense of it looked like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff, but was so much more. I love that it paid homage to a lot of films in that time period, but was completely its own thing in every way. Mia Goth gave a phenomenal performance. Jenna Ortega was great. Everyone that showed up in this was fantastic. There were some amazing kill sequences in this, and it was just a lot of fun, and a movie I could see myself rewatching quite a bit. Coming in at number 14 is Ty West's Pearl. I liked Pearl a little bit more than X. This was like a tribute to the golden age of Hollywood. Mia Goth gives an Oscar-worthy performance that will probably be looked over because this is a horror film. It's just absolutely incredible. I love the overly saturated color palette in this movie. Sucks you in from the first frame all the way to the very end. That last sequence during the credits, the performance that Mia Goth gives during it is one of my favorites of the entire year, and it's just a great movie that I think more people need to see. Coming in at number 13 is the film Causeway, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry, an A24 film that was put directly on Apple TV Plus, and that was really disappointing because this movie was incredible. A very small scale character drama about two people trying to overcome grief that has happened in their lives, and it's handled so delicately and well. The performances in this are brilliant. Everything is so nuanced through facial expressions and the way that the characters sort of like sit next to each other and acknowledge each other, and it just felt so real. The emotions that these actors were conveying just felt like something that was really lived and accurate, and it's something I've been thinking about since I watched it. Coming in at number 12 is the film On the Count of Three from director Jared Carmichael, a movie that moved me to tears multiple times, probably one of the most accurate looks at depression that I've ever seen in film, a movie that does not pull back the punches on the severity of depression and how every single person handles elements differently in their life, a movie about love between friends. It's just absolutely amazing, the array of subject matter that this film covers, and does so well. It also stars Christopher Abbott, who is one of my favorite actors right now. I think he gives a brilliant performance in this movie, and if you have not seen this film, you're really missing out. Coming in at number 11 is the film Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, produced by A24. One of the most heartwarming and beautiful films of the entire year. This is a movie that if you didn't get some sort of glimmer of joy while watching it, I will tell you that you don't have a soul. Isabella Rossellini is in this film with Jenny Slate. Both of them give amazing vocal performances. I love the way this thing is shot. The cinematography is beautiful. It's such a small scale story that really hit me hard, and I'm so glad I caught this in the theater. It was such an amazing experience to see on the big screen, and it's a movie that I will revisit a ton for years to come. So we have done it. We have reached the top 10 films for me of 2022, so let's get into it now. Coming in at number 10 is Gaspar Noé's Vortex, starring Dario Argento. This tells a story of a husband and wife couple who the wife is starting to get dementia. The film is shot through like a split screen camera element where you have these two boxes. One is following the husband, one is following the wife, and you're seeing their day-to-day lives, where the wife will go to the grocery store, completely forget where she is. Dario Argento's character kind of loses track of her, has to try to hunt her down, and it's so much through just basic dialogue sequences that pack such a heavy emotional punch. I was not a huge fan of Gaspar Noé's Climax, which is the only other film in his catalog I have seen. I respected the cinematography, but I was just kind of I thought the characters were all very unlikable and just didn't really emotionally resonate with me the way I wanted to. And this proves that Gaspar Noé can tell an incredibly beautiful story that really hit me hard. And this does not pull any punches. It is a tough one to watch, but if you get a chance to see it, you definitely should. Coming in at number 9, getting its official release this month, but it got early showings last month, that is the analog horror film Skinamarink. This is one of the best horror films I have ever ever seen. It really is subversive in every way. It's a film that general audience members will probably hate, really taps into that primal fear that I think a lot of kids have when they get up in the middle of the night and feel like someone is watching them. It is so unconventional. I feel like it's really even hard to talk about. It's just one of those movies that you need to go in and watch. And I thought that it was brilliant in every single way. And I hope that you like it as much as I did. I can't wait to revisit this one, pick it up on Blu-ray, and watch it over and over again. Coming in at number 8 is the film Nope from director Jordan Peele. This felt like Jordan Peele's Steven Spielberg moment. Incredibly well fleshed out characters, fantastic cinematography, really suspenseful. I love that the film was marketed one way, and even though you thought you knew what you were getting into, you really didn't know what you were getting into until the end of this film. I think Jordan Peele is one of the most exciting filmmakers in the horror community. I cannot wait to see what else he does throughout his career, and he's 3 for 3 in my opinion. This movie was fantastic. Coming in at number 7, speaking of Steven Spielberg, is Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans. I watched this movie not too long ago and thought that it was incredibly brilliant. The performances in this were fantastic. I really love that it's semi-autobiographical of Steven Spielberg's life. There's so much that feels so personal in this film. Michelle Williams gives a brilliant performance. Paul Dano, as usual, is incredible in this. Everyone that shows up is fantastic. It's just a beautiful story, and if you love film, you will definitely be impacted by this movie. Coming in at number 6 is Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All, a film that made me super uncomfortable because cannibalism is one of the few things that really makes me feel ill, but it was really surprising to take a movie about cannibalism and make something so beautiful and poignant. I feel like this film was more of an allegory for like drug addiction or any sort of issues that people can have in their lives where they find someone who is struggling with something equally as difficult and bond with each other based on that. Both the performances in this were fantastic. It really took me by surprise. Luca Guadagnino continues to impress me throughout his career, and this is a film I could see myself revisiting multiple times. The top 5 territory, this was one of the most difficult top 5s I've ever made in my career, making lists for the end of the year, but let's get into it right now. So coming in at number 5 is Decision to Leave from director Park Chan-wook. This felt very Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo at moments, an amazing film about an unlikely romance between a police detective and the wife of a man who was murdered. It is super suspenseful, it's comical, it's dramatic, it's every single thing you could possibly want in a movie, all packed into a 2-hour runtime. I love Korean cinema. I feel like all of these directors that come out of South Korea are just absolutely amazing. I feel like I'm constantly impressed with movies that come out of that part of the world, and this was no exception. I've been wanting to revisit this since I watched it, and I will very soon. Coming in at number 4 is The Banshees of Inisherin, one of my biggest surprises of the year. Martin McDonagh wrote one of the most brilliant screenplays I have ever seen. Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson both give amazing performances. Colin Farrell's arguably one of my favorite actors working today, and this proves just the chops that he has. This is a movie that conveys so many different emotions, and if it does not hit you emotionally in one way or the other, I don't know what to tell you. There's so much that you can pull from both of these characters whose perspectives come from very different worlds, and I just love this one a lot. I cannot wait to watch it again. Coming in at number 3 is the film Aftersun, produced by A24. This tells the story of a girl who is recollecting on a vacation that she had with her father when she was really young. The father is played by Paul Mescal, and this movie was so hard for me to watch. I have a pretty interesting family dynamic myself, especially with the broken relationship that I have with my father, and so watching a movie about a girl recollecting on the relationship she had with her father before the two of them became estranged was really difficult for me to watch, but in a way that was so well done. Paul Mescal's performance in this is absolutely incredible, and what I love is there's not any real big emotional blow-ups in this movie. It's all through casual dialogue and little things that happen between the characters, and it's really unlike anything I've ever seen, and all I'll say is go watch this movie, and hopefully you feel the same type of thing I felt when you watched it, and it just won't leave your mind after you see it. Coming in at number 2, probably the most creative movie of the year and one of the most creative movies made in years. Everything Everywhere All at Once from the Daniels. I was blown away by this movie when I saw it in the theater. I loved the Daniels' earlier film, Swiss Army Man, and was really interested to see what these guys would bring to the table after their initial film. And this is everything you could possibly want in one movie. So many character dynamics build up, whether it's a relationship between a husband and wife, a relationship between a mom and her daughter, all of these really complex familial dynamics that exist while also being really funny in a way that the Daniels can be. It's really overt, it's really silly, it's very goofy, but it's also really poignant and beautiful. And I loved seeing at the Golden Globes the other night, Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan getting recognition for both of their performances, two of the best performances of the entire year. I'd love to see this movie take a bunch of Oscars away. It would 100% be worth it, and it was amazing. And I hope you guys out there love this one as much as I did. It's a film that will be in my rotation for the rest of my life, and I can't wait to tell every single person that hasn't seen it to watch it, because it's definitely worth checking out. And coming in at number 1 is a surprise to probably no one who knows me as a person. That is Robert Eggers' The Northman, a film that I feel like was really slept on and that not enough people appreciated, and I adored every second of this movie. Every time I think about it, I get excited to revisit it. I think it is performance driven. I think the period accuracy to the Norse culture is just incredible. I think the way that Robert Eggers is able to suck you into these worlds in a way that no other director can, it's incredible from frame 1 to the very last frame of the movie. I felt like I never wanted to look away from the screen, and it's a film I continuously think about, from performances to cinematography to score. It was just my favorite thing I watched of the entire year. Robert Eggers seems to take that away every single year he puts out a movie, but I loved The Northman. I think it's incredible, and I hope that everyone out there gets a chance to check it out, and hopefully you pull something away from it like I did. So do you agree or disagree with my list? Or what is your list? I'd love to see in the comments. Let me know what your favorite films of 2022 were. This was one of the most difficult lists I have ever put together in the history of reviewing film, and I'm so glad I was finally able to do it. Obviously, like I said, there's a bunch of films that I still haven't checked out from the year, and I will be reviewing those when I watch them and giving you my thoughts and ideas to those when they come out. But as of right now, that's where it stands. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I am always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.